Hi everyone. So I'm still homesick today, and I have tried recording this video like 5 times. So hopefully this time works. So I also have like a runny nose, and I'm just not feeling 100%. So I hope that this video makes sense. Okay, so anyways, for lesson 3, we're gonna do lesson 3 today, and you're actually gonna I would, if you could pause this video and write this down, and then when you unpause the video, if you are in period 3, I don't think we wrote these steps down. I'm gonna show you really quick. I'm gonna scroll up. You didn't write these steps down here in lesson 2. Now, you probably don't have room in lesson 2, so if you could write these steps down on the inside cover of your packet, that would be awesome, because we're going to need them for today. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and write those down, and then I'm going to explain these steps. So it says when factoring trinomials when a is not 1. Now, a is not 1 means this number in front right here is not 1. In all of these that we did last time, a was 1. See how here a is 1? Okay, and and even if it's not 1, like here, you see how it was 2? This was from last lesson. Remember we took out a GCF of 2, and then we had x squared plus 3x minus, what is that, 54, right? And you see how then a was 1? Because it's in front of x squared after we took out a GCF. Well, in this lesson, a is not going to be 1. So we're going to need new steps. But we're going to follow these first 5 steps the exact same way we did for lesson 2. So if you weren't here for lesson 2, you'll actually understand lesson 2 by the time we're done with this, which is really nice. So you're going to look for a GCF first, always. That's always your first step. Then you're going to write out a, b, and c. You're going to multiply a and c, write out b. And then you're going to find 2 numbers that multiply to a times c and add up to b, and then you're going to write it in this form. It'll all make sense if you weren't here, hopefully by the time we do a couple examples. And so when factoring trinomials when a is not 1, you're going to follow the same steps as you do when a is 1. And then when you get to the last step, which is this step right here, oops, I didn't mean to erase that, which is this step, you're going to divide each number by a, simplify the fraction, if possible, and then bring the denominator in front of x, and we'll go over all that. So the first thing I want to do is multiply this out here, just to show you this is how we would check our work once we're done. So you know what? I'm going to do that at the end. Okay, I'm going to do that at the end. I'm actually going to skip 3 too, because I think 3 is probably the hardest problem. I don't know why I put that first. So let's start with 4. Okay, so 4 has no GCF. The first step, remember, if I'm going back to the lesson 2, we check for GCF first. Okay, but there's no GCF because nothing goes into 5, 13, and 6. But if there's no GCF, then we can right away go into writing a, b, and c. So a is 5. It's always the number in front of x squared. B is 13, and c is 6. And then step 3 says multiply a times c and write out b. So a times c is 5 times 6, which is 30, and b is 13. Now, the fourth step tells us to find 2 numbers that multiply to a times c. So we're going to find 2 numbers that multiply to 30, but add up to 13. Now, this is the hardest part of the whole thing. So if you weren't here last time, what we can do is we can write out a whole list. So like 1 times 30 is 30, right? Well, I'm going to try to divide this number by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to find all of the numbers, all the factors of 30, all the numbers that multiply to 30. So 30 divided by 1 is 30, which means 1 times 30 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. It goes in evenly, which means 2 times 15 is 30. 30 divided by 3 is 10. If you try doing 4, it's going to be a decimal, so 30 doesn't go into 4. And 30 times 5 is 6. So these are all my factors. Now I have to find, after you find all the numbers that multiply to 30, and you don't have to list them all out, it's just if you're not sure of the next step yet. List out all the factors of 30, and you're going to find 2 numbers that add up to 13. So 3 plus 10 is 13, and 3 times 10 is 30. So that's your answer. They need to add up to 13 and multiply to 30, right? Okay, so now your next step's going to be, I'm going to write it up here, is x plus 3 and x plus 10. Remember and that would be the last step if a was 1. You see how a is 5 this time? If a is 1, that's your final answer. But since a is 5, we need to divide each number by a. So you're going to divide each of these numbers by a. So this number and this number, I'm going to divide by a, which is 5. Simplify the fraction if possible. That's the next step. So can I simplify 3 over 5? No. If you can't, then bring the denominator in front of x. So you're going to bring the denominator in front of x here. So it's 5x plus 3. But on this one, I can simplify. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I'm just going to leave that as 2, and this is your final answer. Now, if you wanted to check this, you would distribute like this, or multiply, right? Like this and like this, FOIL. So now I'm going to show you actually numbers 1 and 2, and we'll come back to 3 later. So this is how you would check. You would say 2x times x, which is 2x squared, 2x times 5, which is 10x, and negative 3 times x, negative 3x, negative 3 times 5, negative 15. And then you would combine the middle two. So 10x minus 3x is 7x. Bring everything else down. And that would be your answer. So if we were going to check number, we'll just skip 2. I should have just had you guys check here instead to make it make more sense. So let's do this. 5x times x, and we won't do this every time, but just to show you what I mean. That's 5x squared, because remember x times x is x squared. And then we have 5x times 2, which is 10x. And then 3 times x, which is 3x. And 3 times 2, which is 6. So this is 5x squared plus 13x plus 6. And you see how this matches that. That means you did it right. That means that this answer right here is correct. So I was just trying to show you that you could check your work if you want to. Okay, number 5, factor the following. So we can't take out a GCF. 3, 2, and 5 don't have anything in common. So there's no GCF, so we're going to just write out A, B, and C. Okay, so then we're going to multiply A times C and B. So A times C is 3 times negative 5, which is negative 15, and B is negative 2. So now we need to find numbers that multiply to 15 but add up to negative 2. So first find numbers that multiply to negative 15. And again, we're going to say, okay, well, if we did negative 15 divided by 1, it would be negative 15. So 1 times negative 15 is negative 15. So in your calculator, negative 15 divided by 2, that'll be a decimal. Negative 15 divided by 3 would be negative 5. Negative 15 divided by 4 doesn't go in. But then if we did divided by 5, we would get the same answer as this. It would just be 3, right? So now we're going to look. Now we're going to look and see which of these two, these are the only two factors of 15, would combine to make a negative 2. Well, if we multiply 3 times negative 5, that gives me negative 15. And if I do 3 minus 5, that gives me negative 2. So when you combine them by adding or subtracting, just looking at the signs that they have, and they equal negative 2, that's your answer. So the next step is to do this, x plus 3, x minus 5. And if a was 1, that would be your final step. But because a is 3, we're going to divide both of these numbers by 3. So if you can simplify. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. I can't simplify 5 and 3. So that means I'm going to bring the 3 in front of the x, and it's 3x minus 5. And that's your answer. And again, you can check it if you want to by distributing. And that might be good to do on a quiz. Okay, number 6. 6 has a GCF. All of these numbers can divide by 2. So we can simplify this by dividing each of these by 2. So it'd be 6x squared plus 7x plus 2 when you divide all those numbers by 2. And this time your a is what is still whatever's in front of x squared. So this time a is 6. And we're going to put the 2 in at the very, very end. So we're not going to worry about this 2 until the end. And c is 2. So then you have a times c, which is 6 times 2, which is 12, and b is 7. So the factors of 12. Well, 12 divided by 1 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And those are all your factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. So out of these, which ones add up to b? Which ones add up to 7? Well, 3 and 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So again, x plus 3, x plus 4. Okay, and now we're going to divide both of these by a. So my a was 6, so you're going to divide this by 6. And then we can simplify both of these fractions. So I'm going to divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. And I'm going to divide the top over here by 2 and the bottom over here by 2. So we have 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then I have x plus, so what I just did, by the way, is 3 divided by 3, which is 1, right here, right? And then I had 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Okay, so here 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm going to say 2 over 3. And now they're simplified, and now I can bring the denominator up here and up here. So 2x plus whatever your numerator is, which is 1, and, 3x, sorry, 3x plus 2. Okay, and then my GCF, don't forget this 2. I'm going to bring it down in front. And that's your answer. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay, so we're going to skip, let's see, we're going to skip 8, 9, and 10 and do that next time. So we're going to do 7, and we're going to go back to, what number did we skip? 3, and then we'll be done. Okay, so here the GCF is going to be 2. You can't take out 4 because 22 doesn't go into 4. You always want to take out your greatest common factor. So we're going to divide each of these by 2. So that's 6x squared. 22 divided by 2 is 11x. And then negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. And now we have ABC. So A is 6, B is 11, and C is negative, that's a 20. It looks like a 10. Negative 20. So A times C and B. So A times C, 6 times negative 20 is negative 120, and B is 11. Hey, didn't we have negative 120 in the next one as well? Hang on, I'm turning my page on my notebook because I just want to see. Oh, my goodness, that's a 10, huh? I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not going to start this video over. I'm too far into it. Okay, that's negative 20 divided by 2, which is 10. That wasn't a 20. Okay, here we go. So that's 10. So it's 6 times negative 10, which is negative 60. Okay, let's go from there. So now we're going to divide. So again, you don't have to list out all the factors, but if you're still like struggling with this, I would take negative 60 in your calculator and divide by 1. So that's negative 60. And then negative 60 in your calculator divided by 2, negative 30. Divided by 3 would be negative 20. Negative 60 divided by 4 is negative 15. Divided by 5 is negative 12. Divided by 6 is negative 10. This has a lot. And then 7 doesn't go into it. 8 doesn't go into it. 9 doesn't go into it. 10 goes into it, but we already have 10. So now we're done. Okay, now we have to find which of these add up to a positive 11. So notice that I have, well, 3 minus 20 is negative 17. 4 minus 15 is a negative 11, but I need a positive 11. So if that happens, you're just going to switch the signs. It's going to be a negative 4 and a positive 15. So 15 minus 4 is 11. Or negative 4 plus 15 is 11. So this is your answer here. And then I'm going to write x minus 4, x plus 15. And I'm going to divide by a. And again, my a is 6, so divide by 6. And I can simplify these fractions. Dividing this by 2, I can divide this fraction by 3. So I have x minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So just simplifying these fractions here. And then 5 and 2. Right, 15 divided by 3 is 5. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then we're going to bring up the 3 here and the 2 here. So 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 5. And then again, your GCF at the very beginning was 2. So I have to put that back in my answer. And that's my final answer. Okay, we're almost done. So, which is great because my eyes are watering so bad. Okay, let's do this. Number 3. Okay, there's no GCF here, right? No GCF. But there, obviously we can write out A, B, and C. So A is 8. B is 2. And the reason this is so much harder is because it's a big number. So A times C is negative 15 times 8, which is negative 120. And then B is 2. So on this one, we're going to find the multiples of negative 120. And there's a lot. And honestly, I didn't even write them all out. So let's see if I can do this in my head. So 120 divided by 1 is 1 times negative 120. Divided by 2 is negative 60. Negative 120 divided by 3 is negative 40. Divided by 4 is negative 30. And again, we're trying to get one that adds up to 2, positive 2. Divided by 5. Okay, 5 into 12 is 2. And then 24. I think that's right. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't do this in ahead of time. Divided by 6 is 20. Can't go into 7. Can it go into 8? I think it can. So, okay, we're going to do 8. It can't go into 9. Oh, yeah, it can. Oh, my gosh. Okay, I don't have room. So you know what I'm going to do? Because I don't want to take forever. I'm sorry. So I'm going to divide by 10 because it's 10 and negative 12. And this is actually going to be your answer. But you guys could make a whole long list. I think you're getting the idea. So divided by 7, divided by 8, divided by 9, divided by 10. And then divided by 11 doesn't go in. Divided by 12 would go in. And then we get back to this number here, right? So now you need to go through your whole list and find out which one adds up to a 2. This is the reason I did this one last, because this is just the longest one. So if you went through all of them, when you get to the very end here, 10 minus 12 is negative 2. We need a positive 2. So if we're going to do a positive 2, I just need to flip the signs. Negative 10 times positive 12 still gives me a negative 120 when I multiply, but negative 10 plus 12 gives me a 2 when I combine them. So that's going to be your answer. X minus 10, x plus 12. Then we're going to divide by a, which is 8. And again, we need to simplify. So I can divide this first fraction by 2. And I can divide this next fraction by 4. Make sure you take your greatest, the greatest number you can divide by. And then this is going to be x minus 5 over 4 when you divide and simplify that fraction. X plus 3 over 2. We're going to bring this in the front. So 4x minus 5 and 2x plus 3 and no GCF, so we don't have to put anything in front. Okay, Hopefully that made sense, you guys. And thank you for your patience with me today. Email me if you have any questions.